What's up, guys? We are back for another review. Today we're taking a look at the brand new Dengar figure in the most recent wave of Black Series. I'm not really sure what's going on with this wave. Certain figures are being found sooner than others, so I got my hands on Dengar. This is the second to last bounty hunter for me. I still don't have Zuckuss. I'm impatiently awaiting for him to finally come out here in the States. But today we're going to take a look at this old crusty dude. So we've got him here in the standard Black Series packaging. You can see him there on the front in the window with some artwork down there on the side. He is number 74 in the series, and then on the back we have that same artwork as well as a bio. So let's do it. Let's pull him out, take a look. Alright guys, here he is out of the package. I have really been clamoring to get my hands on a new bounty hunter. I mean, it hasn't been that long since we got Forlom, but what can I say? I'm just like everybody else out there. I love the bounty hunter, so this is one that I've definitely been wanting to get a hold of, and we finally have him. So let's take a look, of course, at articulation first, because beyond articulation, there is a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on with this figure. I am, to put it bluntly, very happy with the way this guy looks. So we do have an articulated neck. It looks to be on a ball peg. I've had a really hard time actually trying to pop it off to the point where I don't really want to force it, but it looks like the neck is on a ball peg, it swivels, and then the head is on a ball peg from the neck. You get a little bobble side to side. There's not a great deal of movement here, though. As you can imagine, his head sits on top of his armor, and he's got all the wraps on his head, so it kind of makes like a helmet going on almost. So he doesn't really move around all that much. I would imagine he has slightly limited articulation to begin with, just based on the sculpt. So he does have it, but he really can't use it. Arms go all the way out. Swivel, we have a elbow rotation, and we have a hinge, single jointed hinge, but look at that, that's crazy. That's way more than 90 degrees. We've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. We have an upper diaphragm joint here, so he swivels. He doesn't really go back too far. He does have a backpack, which we'll talk about, and he crunches forward only slightly. So, you know, he's a rotund fellow, so I can see that it makes sense. It's not too much of a loss as far as I'm concerned. He does have a nice twist, though. Nothing gets in the way there. Legs can go all the way out. The pouches will get in the way, though, but just slightly. I mean, you don't need him doing anything more than that, I'm sure. Kick forward, kick back, thigh cut, double jointed knee. Mine are really, really stiff, but they go all the way back. And then we've got rocker and hinge down at his little booties there. So he is, you know, as articulated as you would expect for a Black Series figure. He's not overly articulated. He's not under-articulated. He's pretty standard for the line, but for a character that's a little bigger than usual. You know, he's kind of fat. I've already said it. And he is in armor. He moves around a little better than I expected. Now, where this figure really shines is, of course, in the look and feel, the paint, the sculpt. And I think Hasbro's done a really, really solid job here. I think Dengar easily rivals the other bounty hunters for top spot. I'm not a huge Dengar fan. You know, he's not my favorite by any means, but I like the way this figure looks. And he very much looks like Dengar. I'm very, very happy with this particular figure. So he's, you know, he's pretty well known in terms of what he looks like. We got a slightly portly fellow here with the undersuit, kind of a cream undersuit, which is all wrinkled, so there's tons of sculpted detail all over what is visible. And then he's covered in the armor plating, and I like the fact that we've got, you know, the little scrapes, the nicks, the cuts, the gouges in it. Of course, you can see kind of silver chrome paint shining through. We've got a floating belt piece here that is, you know, kind of a gray with a little buckle. Got some pouches on it, like I mentioned, and it does have the holster for his blaster pistol. We've got some wraps on his ankles, and we've got the little booties down here, which is weird, but that's what he wears, so, you know, I'm not here to be a stylist. And then we've got the little gloves on his hands, and of course we've got a trigger finger on the right, open gripping hand on the left. We do have a backpack for this guy, and you know, it's got a bunch of stuff on it. I don't know what all this stuff is. You have to put this on. It pegs into his back, and then it does have two ties. So these actually peg, this one and this one, peg into holes on the side of his body. So it looks like it's kind of wrapped around him underneath this first armor plate. They're easy to peg in. They've not fallen out once that I can think of yet either. So they've been pretty solid. There's a lot going on here as well. A lot of texture in like this cord that's in here, in a little sleeping bag or whatever this is, kind of like a rucksack thing. And then whatever this is, I don't know what this stuff is. Star Wars garbage stuff that's on his back. And it looks pretty good. And there's paint embellishments on it. So it's not just, you know, black. There's browns and kind of olive kind of colors all over it as well. So it all looks very good. I don't know if I would consider that an accessory. It's just part of his sculpt that you have to put on. It's just an extra piece. So, you know, he looks fantastic from the neck down. I really, really like everything about what this figure has going for it. But he gets even better when you get to the head and the face. This is where things really get taken to the next level for this figure. I like everything about him from the neck down, but from the neck up, this guy is pretty fantastic. The face sculpt on this guy, as well as the photoreal tech, is top notch. Hasbro has done a fantastic job bringing this figure into plastic. There's a great sculpt here that is accentuated by some fantastic paint details, slight coloring on the lips, eyes are very clean and crisp. There's a little bit of gray hair peeking through the side of his wraps there. And then of course, the big thing is the scars on his face. You can see the one that runs down his chin, there's one on his nose, and then the big one that's under his right eye, your left on the screen. So he just looks fantastic. Everything about the face is on point. And, you know, I'd be hard-pressed to say that there are many faces in the Black Series that look better. Even though it's Dengar, you know, it's not Luke, it's not Han, it's not a big name character, they really did a fantastic job going the extra mile on this one. And then, of course, we've got this head that is encased in the wraps. And, you know, I've never had a head wrap on, a big set of bandages that wrap around my head. But these look very natural. They seem to flow nicely. There's a lot of wrinkles sculpted in there. You can see how they kind of tie in on the back there. Everything just looks really clean and nicely applied. Some little paint embellishments on kind of like the rivets and the fasteners that tie his mask into his armor. So yeah, I love it. It's fantastic. Now, as far as accessories here, we have got, outside of the backpack, of course, we've got two blasters. We got a pistol. This is standard Star Wars blaster pistol type stuff. Nothing too crazy. Cast in black plastic. No paint on this guy. You can pop it in his holster. It's honestly kind of a tight fit. The muzzle at the end there is really big, kind of oversized almost, and it barely fits. But once it's in there, it is not going anywhere. So it's not coming out unless you pull it out. And then we got this guy here. This is the same gun that we've seen a few times in the line so far. Sand Trooper blaster rifle is what you most commonly associate with this. And Dengar is known for having this gun, but I don't really think it's exactly what we see in the movie. It's a modified gun. Like in the movies, he had an actual real-world gun that was modified. It had some stuff removed, stuff added on, and it's not exactly the same. And in a lot of the lore for Dengar, he's most commonly associated with a gun called the Vulcan 38 or something like that, if I can remember. And that's the gun that was prominently featured, for me at least, in the Star Wars card game from back in the 90s. And that's how I know it. And it looks similar to this, but it's not exactly. So I'm sure, you know, we got this because it's parts reuse. He can hold it fairly well. I do think his hand is a little fat for this, though. Like, he doesn't really overlap his finger to the actual trigger very well. So it just kind of sits, which is kind of weird. He does seem to hold it fine once you get it in his hand, but I've also had a few instances where it just popped right out too. So he can hold it, but you know, you might want to play with it for a minute. Beyond that though, the kind of weird thing about this gun is that the plastic used on it is a little different for Black Series. So Marvel Legends is known a lot for using a lot of marbly metallic plastic, and that's what this is. And I really like it for this gun. It looks nice. It gives it kind of a gunmetal-y sheen. So it's really cool. It's just kind of an oddity, kind of a weird thing that I don't normally think we see in Black Series too often. So standard gun, newish kind of finish. He holds it well enough. So at the end of the day, am I satisfied? Of course I am. It's Dengar. You know, who isn't going to like this figure? They didn't screw him up. He looks fantastic. He has all of the requisite parts and bits and bobs and doodads and everything. He looks like a very, very old, tired bounty hunter that has seen plenty of battle, and I'm pretty happy with him. I don't really have anything to complain about outside of my personal qualms with the gun. I don't really think it's exactly what we should have gotten with him, and he does hold it kind of weirdly, but once you get it in his hand, it's not going anywhere either. So yeah, it's a must-have for Black Series. There's just no doubt about it. If you collect this line, you have to get him. There you go. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series Dengar figure from Hasbro. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.